Hey Nate, today we're going to finish South America. And so it's kind of a longish lesson, a little bit longer than what we're usually going. But it's kind of interesting. The next country that we're going to be dealing with is Bolivia. And if you can locate it on your map, you'll see that it is a landlocked country. It is not bordered by any ocean or sea. It was once much larger than it is now, but lost a lot of its land in wars with its neighbors. Um, because it's landlocked, it has kind of a difficult time trading with different countries. But Bolivia has been offered a deal with Chile that allows it to have access to the sea through Chile. So that's kind of pretty cool. 70% of the people of Bolivia live in poverty. 60% of Bolivians are full blooded Indians, South American Indians. Disease is common among the population because they really do not have any access to medical care. There are tin mines in Chile, and a lot of the people either live there or they trade. They're fur traders. They raise chinchillas for fur and guinea pigs, of all things, for meat. I don't think they're the kind of guinea pigs that we're used to, but they are referred to as guinea pigs regardless. Most of the people in Bolivia live in the high plain that is called the Altiplano. Alti meaning high, and plano meaning plain. So it's kind of easy to see where that name comes from. And that area lies between the Andes mountain ranges, and it's about an area that's as large as West Virginia. La Paz, LA, capital PAZ, is the capital of Bolivia, and at 12,000 feet in elevation, it's actually the highest capital in the world. So if anybody asks you, if you happen to be on Jeopardy, and they ask you which is the highest capital in the world, you know that it is La Paz, Bolivia, at 12,000 feet. That long, skinny country that we have been looking at, Chile, sort of shaped like a string bean, is the 3,000-mile wall of the Andes Mountains that divides Chile from Argentina, which is another long country, but not as skinny as Chile. The Atacama Desert covers the northern 12,000 miles of Chile. It's so dry there that there is no record of some places ever getting rain. We have talked about some extremes when it comes to rain totals in South America, haven't we? And in an area that's really not all that distant from each other. From 400, I mean, from 200, no, 400 inches of rain in off of the coast of Colombia to 2 inches of rain in Lima, Peru, and now there are some places in Chile that there is no record of them ever having gotten rain. That is rather amazing, isn't it? Um, the coastline area of Chile supports a great sardine fishing industry, and sodium nitrate is also mined there, as well as copper and silver. So that is the northern part of the skinny Chile. In the central area, which is called the Central Valley, it extends about 600 miles south of that northern desert. Actually, three-quarters of the population of Chileans live in this Central Valley. Two-thirds of the population lives in the capital of Santiago, which is a very modern city of about 6 million people. Chile is one of the more successful stories of South America. There are a lot of tragic stories of the countries of South America with dictators and inner turmoil. But Chile has a rather a good reputation as compared to the others. Off the coast of Chile is an archipelago, which is a group of islands that stretches another 1,000 miles down from that central valley, all the way down to the southern tip of South America. It includes some 300 islands, plus the islets. And a lot of sheep and cattle are raised on reservations on those islands. That archipelago is similar to Alaska's Inside Passage. Remember when we were studying Alaska, we looked at all those islands that are parallel to the coast of Alaska, and in between is what is known as the Inside Passage. South of those islands in South America, back to Chile, is the perilous Straits of Magellan. And if you look on your map way down to the southern part of South America, you will see that there is a pass-through, a canal, so to speak, a natural canal that is called the Straits of Magellan. Before the construction of the Panama Canal up in Central America, the main shipping route between the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans was through those Straits of Magellan, which was quite a perilous journey for those who did take that shortcut rather than going around the Cape Horn. South of the Straits of Magellan is the large island of Tierra del Fuego, which means land of fire. Oil rigs dot its coastline and gives Chile some precious petroleum and petroleum products. And south of that island are a string of islands that extend all the way down to Antarctica. The passage that separates South America from Antarctica is a 600-mile wide passage that's called the Drake Passage. And of course, all the way down off the tip of South America is an islet that is called Cape Horn. The three countries of the Straits of Magellan are Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. That area was the center of the Spanish settlement way back. It contains the widest ocean inlet or estuary of the whole Atlantic coast, either east or west. Two mighty rivers, the Parana and the Uruguay River, flow into the Rio de la Plata and is very useful as a waterway and a thoroughfare for trade. The estuary is very important. What is an estuary? It is an area of relatively shallow water, as compared to the rest of the ocean, that acts as a nursery for a birthing center and a nursery for a lot of fish, shellfish, and regular fish. So that is the three countries of the Straits of Magellan. Right, the first one is Argentina, a pretty large country as far as the countries of South America go. It's actually the 8th largest country in the world. Its neighbor Brazil is the 5th largest country in the world. But Argentina comes in at number 8 at 1 million square miles. Population-wise, though, the population is less than Mexico. If you look at the size of Mexico as compared to Argentina, well, that's really rather kind of amazing. The population is much less than Mexico, but it does have the largest number of Spanish speakers in South America. Almost all of the citizens of Argentina are of European descent, either Italian or Spanish. And there have been many fights between the merchants, not the merchants, not you guys, but those who sell product, and ranchers for control of the government. And each one of them trying to keep one of their leaders in control of Argentina and therefore influencing world affairs. You may or may not have heard of the musical Evita. It is a story, a musical actually, that concentrates on the life of an Argentine political leader, Eva Perón. She was the second wife of the Argentinian President Juan Perón, and the story follows Evita, his wife's life, early life, her rise to power, her charity work, and her death. Very very dramatic play. Um, a gaucho, you may have heard of the gauchos. Gaucho holds as special a place in Argentinian history as the cowboy does in American history, and they have great similarities in that they used they kind of did the same thing with cattle and sheep and horses and all that. The pampas, you may have heard of that. The pampas is a term used to describe the extensive treeless, tree-free lands in South America. And the area that is west of the pampas is Patagonia. That is the very high plateau, and it's called Patagonia. We could spend a lot of time on some of these terms, but it really isn't the purpose of our study in cultural geography. So we're going over it very quickly. The capital of Argentina is Buenos Aires, and it is one of the one of the largest and most populous cities on the whole continent of South America. Buenos Aires, a major country in South America. We've talked about the Andes a little bit. They reach their highest peaks in Argentina. Actually, 9 of the 10 highest peaks in the Western Hemisphere are there in Argentina. They form the 2,000-mile border that Argentina shares with that string bean country that we know of as Chile. Uruguay is a tiny country, especially compared to its neighbors, Brazil and Argentina. Half of its population actually live in the capital city of Montevideo. Montevideo. It's made up of European descendants rather than indigenous. Indigenous just means native people. Again, mostly Spanish or Italian. Its history of Uruguay is plagued by foreign wars as well as civil wars. It's making a real effort to increase trade with foreign countries. It does have the advantage of being a coastal country on the Atlantic, so at least it does have access to be able to transport its goods to other countries. Paraguay, on the other hand, we have Uruguay and Paraguay. Uruguay fortunate to have sea access. Paraguay not so fortunate as it is landlocked. And it does have the advantage of the Parana River, which is a mighty river system. So people are able to get around within the country. Bolivia, which also is landlocked, does not even have that advantage. Not only is it landlocked and would be truly not have any access if it wasn't for Chile allowing it access to the ocean, but it doesn't even have a river system. But Paraguay does, even though it does not have ocean access. It has fought wars, Paraguay has, with every single neighbor. It has endured civil wars. It has endured a number of different dictators. All that is much too real part of their history. The population of Paraguay is mostly a Spanish and native mix. Almost the whole country is bilingual. They speak both Spanish and a language called Guarani, that is the native Indian language. Asuncion is the capital of Paraguay. Then we come to Brazil. Brazil is the 5th largest nation in the world, geographically. It is also the fifth largest nation in the world, population-wise. It covers a half of the South American continent, Brazil does. It has a vibrant culture, has very rich resources. It's unique among the other South American countries. Brazil is. If you remember, I said that all of the countries of the people of all the countries of South America speak Spanish, with the exception of Brazil, and the population there speaks Portuguese. It's the only country in the Western Hemisphere that was once owned by Portugal, and Portuguese is its official language as opposed to Spanish, which is the language of the rest. It is the largest Roman Catholic nation in the world. 73% of its population claim to be Roman Catholic. It shares borders with 7 other South American countries. And the first established colonies in Brazil were established along the coastline, just as they were in the United States. Our earliest colonies were established along our eastern coastline, primarily because our trade was primarily with the European nations, and so the coastline colonies would be able to trade with the European countries. In 1822, Dom Pedro, a Portuguese prince, declared Brazil independent and actually appointed himself as king, King Dom Pedro. And it remained a monarchy ruled by a king for 66 years under Pedro and his son. They freed the slaves there without giving the slave owners any compensation. So they demanded that the slaves be freed, but they did not compensate the owners with any kind of money in return. And then the slave owners revolted against the monarchy and declared Brazil a republic. And that was the end of Brazil being a monarchy. They actually drew up a constitution that is modeled on the Constitution of the United States. But over the centuries, there have been a number of dictators in Brazil, and it has at times been under military rule rather than police rule. The cities of Brazil are very modern and cultured. The schools are good. The houses and apartments are small, but they have all the modern appliances like dishwashers and clothes washers and things like that. The biggest cities of Brazil are in the south. It has a humid subtropical climate, similar to what we would describe of Florida and Georgia as having. It's a major producer of coffee, sugar, cane, and cotton, as well as cattle, iron ore, diamonds, manganese, and gold. Rio de Janeiro, which you probably have heard of. Rio de Janeiro is its second largest city. Its capital. It's a charming city. But the largest city is actually Sao Paulo. And we've talked about Sao Paulo, I think when we were talking about Mexico and Mexico City, and saying that Mexico City was the second largest city in Latin America behind Sao Paulo, which is actually in Brazil, the country we're talking about now. Rio de Janeiro has that statue that's called Christ the Redeemer. It is world known. Anyone who sees that statue, either from the front or the back, knows exactly what it is. It's called Christ the Redeemer. It overlooks the whole city of Rio, which is the shortened name for Rio de Janeiro. It stands 125 feet high. It's on top of a mountain that is almost 3,000 feet high. Its arm spread is actually 92 feet from fingertip to fingertip. Brazil is also a major producer of, what would you guess? Bananas and sugar cane. The Brazilian highlands is a rugged plateau not very far from Brazil's Atlantic coast, and its slope is very steep, and so it is called the Great Escarpment. Escarpment just refers to a cliff or a slope, and so the land from the Atlantic is a plain, and then all of a sudden it is like a table. The highest peak in Brazil is not even 10,000 feet, so the tallest mountains of the Andes are not in Brazil. Water flows off that escarpment that I mentioned and off the Andes mountains into the Amazon basin, which is rainy all year round. And we're going to talk about the rainforest and the Amazon in a minute, but we're going to finish up Brazil first. Sao Paulo, which I mentioned is its largest city, is 200 miles west of Rio. Its population is very continental. It has the largest Japanese population outside of Japan. So another Jeopardy question, if someone were to ask you, where is the largest Japanese population outside of Japan located? You would say it is in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. The Amazon River. The Amazon River, it's the greatest river system in the world. It truly is an amazing river system. It drains the largest area of any river system in the world. More water flows out of it than the next 10 largest rivers combined. I want to say that again. More water flows out of the Amazon River than all of the water of the 10 next largest rivers combined. It's the longest river. Some say that the Nile is longer, and I guess you could stick to that if you wanted to, but the difference is only 160 miles anyway. I guess it kind of depends on how you untangle them and pull them out. So some say the Nile in Egypt, and some say the Amazon, but it's a pretty close call either way. The flat basin, in other words, the bottom of the basin, the bowl that makes up the Amazon, is called the selva, Selva, and it covers 1/3 of the continent of South America. The Amazon is the largest rainforest in the world. Its high canopy being the tops of the trees, what you would see if you were in the air looking down at the rainforest, all you would see is the leaves of the tops of the trees. That's called the canopy. And that high canopy hosts many exotic animals. It hosts the anaconda, which is a snake, the world's longest snake. It houses the capybara, Capybara, which is the world's largest rodent. It actually resembles a giant, long-legged guinea pig. We can look them up later and see what these monster guinea pigs actually look like. It hosts colorful toucans, the birds with the big colorful beaks, and parrots, jaguars, tapirs, and sloths, unique to the Amazon rainforest. The waters of the Amazon are a teem with electric eels, the razor-toothed piranha, the 10-foot-long piraruca. The piraruca can crush their prey with a large tongue studded with teeth. They have teeth on their tongues. I think I read somewhere that the natives take those tongues, dry them out, and use them to comb out I don't know what they use them to comb out with, but they use them as combs. And also, actually, in the Amazon rainforest, at the river's edges, there are dolphins and sharks in the rivers. Population of that Amazon region of people, very few people. Lots of animals and snakes and all that good stuff, but very few people. The climate is traditionally an uncomfortable, humid, very humid, rainy climate, consistently about 95, between 75 and 95 degrees every single solitary day, and receives over 100 inches of rain annually. It's a lot of rain. It rains just about every day in the rainforest. The Cerrado, Cerrado, is the fertile land of the kind of the flat interior of the Selvat, that is now very often being commercially farmed. Unfortunately, more forested land is being taken over for its hardwoods like mahogany and ebony and Brazilian cherry. Actually, the floor in our bedroom is Brazilian cherry. I think they do not even harvest it or sell it anymore. I think it's against the law to harvest Brazilian cherry, but we do happen to have our bedroom floor being Brazilian cherry. The more and more land has been taken over for the trees to make way for more area to farm. Unfortunately, the soil there is very, very thin. So when the rains do come, they wash the soil away. It's not a good idea to take the forest land, a number of reasons, the forest land for farming. But people come in and companies come in and try to access the rich mineral deposits of iron and tin and lead that are located in that area. It's not good for the rainforest. That rainforest has worldwide importance and produces large quantities of oxygen. Rainforest is very, very important. This last little part that I'm going to do is about the rainforest. And we might think, I think if anybody had asked me before I found out differently, that what produces what? Do rainforests produce rain, or does rain produce rainforests? I would have said, well, obviously rain produces rainforests, but it actually is the complete opposite. Rainforests produce rain. The leaves of the rainforest, that very canopy that we just described, they exhale the water and oxygen, and that evaporates and forms rain clouds, and then that is what makes the rain. Rain does come from other sources in the area, but the rain that's produced by the rainforest accounts for a good half of the rainfall in that area. When too many trees are cut down, then that means that the few that are left, plus the rain that comes from the other sources, can't compensate for the rain that was lost from the trees that were cut down. And that's not enough to even keep the trees that remain alive. So even though some trees are left standing, the fact that some of those trees are cut down means that now there's not enough rain to support even the trees that are left. So it just becomes like a domino effect. Very dangerous situation. Brazil has in the past forbidden any more deforesting of that area. But over the past few years, they sort of eased back on those restrictions, and that is not doing Brazilians any favors, and it's not really doing the rest of the world any favors. Such actions threaten the health of the Amazon, and they threaten the health of the general environment. So that was rather a long lesson, but I hope you found it interesting. Next lesson, we will actually be crossing the Atlantic and visiting the northern European countries. See you then.